The Young and the Restless Full. The newest developments surrounding the Young and the Restless paint a chilling picture of the storm gathering around Sienna Bacall, a woman who has spent months desperately trying to rebuild her identity, her stability, and her sense of safety with Noah Newman by her side, only to find herself drifting closer to the center of a revenge plot she never fully understood. Genoa City has always been a place where secrets fester beneath luxury, where vendettas stretch across continents and generations, and where the past has a habit of ripping into the present with merciless precision. For Sienna, that past carries the name Matt Clark, a man reborn under another identity. Mitch Bacall, a man whose downfall can be traced back to Victor Newman's relentless brand of justice. As the financial ruins of Mitch's empire continue to smolder and the nightclub that once symbolized his independence now sits in Newman's hands, the question looming over Sienna is whether she will be collateral damage in the war her former guardian is determined to reignite. Noah, in his earnest devotion, has sworn to protect her, but sometimes loyalty becomes its own trap, especially when the Newman name is both a fortress and a target, drawing danger with the same force it attempts to repel. Noah believes he can shield Sienna with love, vigilance, and the immeasurable resources of the Newman family, but in doing so, he has unknowingly placed her exactly where Matt wants her to be. Genoa City, with all its polished business towers, secluded estates, and high-security corporate corridors, is far more perilous than the quiet life Sienna once imagined for herself. Its dangers are subtle, psychological, and often born from old rivalries that erupt without warning. Noah's instinct to keep Sienna close comes from a place of love, but closeness within Newman territory has a cost. It exposes her to enemies she never made. Enemies who see her not as a person but as leverage, a pressure point that can bend Noah, weaken Sharon, distract Nick, and ultimately pierce Victor where he is most vulnerable, the family he fights to protect. Noah cannot yet see the full shape of Matt's revenge, because Matt has built a plan based on unpredictability, timing, and a cold understanding of how the Newman empire functions. He knows, perhaps better than anyone, that the family's greatest strength, their unity, is also their greatest weakness. Thus, Noah's vow, as noble as it is, may crumble under the weight of a scheme designed to use Sienna as a catalyst for chaos. From Matt Clark's perspective, every piece of the puzzle is falling into place. Victor didn't just destroy him financially, he humiliated him, seized his nightclub, erased his identity in the business world, and made sure every door in Genoa City slammed shut in his face. That kind of defeat breeds obsession, and obsession breeds a desire for spectacle. Matt wants more than retaliation. He wants the Newmans to bleed emotionally, to flinch every time the phone rings, to question their own power. Sienna, with her fragile past and her connection to Noah, offers him a direct line into the inner sanctum. Mitch Bacall may be the name he uses now, but the darkness of Matt Clark is still alive in him, calculating, watching, waiting. His revenge will not begin with Victor, it will begin with the person Victor's grandson loves most, because pain delivered through family resonates deeper than any financial loss. And so, while Noah tightens security, increases surveillance, and pulls Sienna closer into his orbit, Matt watches from the shadows, already turning her into the centerpiece of his plan, a living reminder that even the Newmans cannot control every variable in their empire. Sienna senses the danger closing in even if she cannot articulate it. The quieter Noah becomes, the more he hides his fears behind reassurances, the more unsettled she feels. Her life has always been shaped by instability, past manipulations, by abandonment, by people who claimed to protect her but used her instead. Noah's love has been a lifeline, but Sienna knows better than anyone that love does not erase threats. Sometimes it magnifies them. She tries to adapt to the Newman security protocols, tries to trust that being in the penthouse or under the watchful eyes of the corporate guards offers real safety. But deep down, she feels trapped, exposed, and painfully aware that she has stepped into a world whose rules she barely understands. Every whisper in the hallway, every unexpected phone alert, every strange face lingering too long around the Newman building becomes a reminder that Matt's past with her twisted, broken, unresolved. It has not truly died. Genoa City is not just a city, it is a chessboard, and Sienna is beginning to realize she might be the pawn everyone is fighting to control. Noah, meanwhile, is spiraling beneath the surface. His vow to protect Sienna was made with conviction, but now it has grown into a burden he cannot confess to anyone. He refuses to involve Sharon because he knows she will call for caution, distance, even separation for Sienna's safety, and Noah cannot accept losing her again. He refuses to tell Nick because Nick will either overstep or ignite a family war. He refuses to tell Victor the full truth because Victor will turn the situation into a battlefield, escalating tensions with Mitch Bacall in ways Noah fears could make things worse. And so Noah tries to handle it himself, tightening protection while pretending everything is normal, unaware that his attempts to act independently are playing directly into Matt's hands. Because Matt counts on Noah's secrecy, Matt counts on the emotional blind spots that come with being in love. And most importantly, Matt counts on Noah underestimating him, believing he is just a disgruntled businessman instead of a man with nothing left to lose. What makes the situation even more dangerous is that the Newmans are already stretched thin. Victor is consumed with other corporate battles. Nikki is distracted by her fragile emotional state. Nick is entangled in his own conflicts. And Sharon is trying to balance her instincts as a mother with the respect she wants to give Noah as an adult. This fragmentation creates the perfect conditions for Matt to strike, because the Newman empire functions best when unified. Right now, they are anything but unified. Noah's insistence on handling Sienna's security on his own isolates him even further, making Sienna's safety dependent not on the might of the Newman legacy but on the decisions of a young man overwhelmed by fear, love, and pride. Matt, in contrast, is operating with clarity. Revenge has sharpened his mind. He knows precisely what message he wants to send and exactly how to send it. It will not be loud, not at first. It will be something subtle, something personal, something that shakes Noah to his core and exposes the illusion of safety he has constructed around Sienna. And somewhere deep inside all of this tension, Sienna begins to understand that she may never be free from Matt Clark until she confronts the truth about him. Running away, hiding under Noah's protection, avoiding the shadows known of these options erase the connection Matt still feels he has to her. Mitch Bacall may claim he wants justice, but underneath that persona lies a man who once shaped Sienna's entire life, who manipulated her sense of belonging, who exploited her loyalty, who turned dependency into control. He believes she owes him loyalty. He believes she betrayed him by choosing Noah. And for a man like Matt Clark, betrayal is unforgivable. This is why his plan does not simply target the Newmans financially or politically. His plan is emotional warfare, a dismantling of trust, protection, and identity. Sienna is not the end goal, she is the trigger. Noah cannot see this yet. He only sees the woman he loves, terrified and trying to be brave. He only sees the memories they shared when they reunited, the fragile progress Sienna made, the hope he felt for a life free from the shadows. Noah believes that standing between her and danger is enough. But the tragedy unfolding is that Noah is standing in the wrong place. He is protecting Sienna from the outside world, unaware that the real threat is already inching into their lives, weaving itself into phone calls, financial records, anonymous messages. Small disruptions that seem harmless but are carefully designed to disarm him emotionally. Matt does not need to attack physically, not yet. First he needs Noah unstable, panicked, doubting his own judgment. And Noah, with his stubborn determination to handle everything alone, is slowly unraveling exactly as Matt predicted. As the weeks progress, the tension in Genoa City thickens. The Newman building becomes a maze of suspicion. Sharon watches Noah with growing worry. Nick begins noticing unusual activity around the family properties. Victor senses a shift in the air, subtle but unmistakable, the feeling that someone is preparing a strike. But Sienna feels it most intensely. She does not know the details, but she knows the rhythm of fear. She knows what it means to be hunted. She knows when danger is circling, waiting for an opening. Every time Noah tells her she's safe, she feels a deeper ache. Because she can sense he is lying intentionally, but because he needs to believe the lie himself. The chilling truth is this: Sienna Bacall is already in the center of Matt Clark's revenge, not because she chose this war but because she represents the emotional battlefield he wants to use. And unless Noah realizes the full scale of the threat, unless he understands that protecting her means involving all the Newmans, even Victor, Sienna may be walking toward a fate even more devastating than the one she escaped. Matt Clark is not done. Mitch Bacall is only the mask he wears. The real Matt is waiting for the perfect moment to strike, and when he does, it will shatter the illusion of safety Noah has so desperately tried to build. Sienna Bacall could have escaped her fate if she had just followed Victor Newman's warning, distancing herself from Noah and the entire Newman orbit before the gravitational pull of their family legacy swallowed her whole. There was a brief window, a small, fragile moment when she could have walked away, disappeared into anonymity, started again without the shadows of Genoa City trailing after her. But that moment passed the second she allowed herself to grow attached to Noah, to believe that love could protect her from the history she had spent years trying to outrun. Now, instead of slipping quietly into a safer life, Sienna finds herself standing still, frozen in the eye of a storm that Matt Clark has been meticulously constructing, a storm fueled by betrayal, humiliation, and his unyielding desire for retribution. Sienna was never supposed to be entangled with a family as powerful and complicated as the Newmans. She had been broken before, manipulated, shaped by other people's desires, and though Noah offered her warmth and stability, that warmth carried a price. The closer she grew to Noah, the more she entered a world built on conflicts she could not see, on rivalries she did not understand, on grudges that predated her entire existence. Victor had urged distance because he understood something Sienna did not. Danger intensifies around the Newmans, not because they seek it, but because their influence invites the kind of enemies who are willing to destroy by any means necessary. And unfortunately for Sienna, her presence in Noah's life made her the perfect pressure point for one of those enemies. From Matt Clark's perspective, Sienna's transformation from frightened survivor to a woman slowly integrating into a wealthy, respected dynasty is the ultimate betrayal. He sees photographs of her at the Newman Ranch, hears whispers of her attending family dinners, imagines her laughing with Noah under the protection of the same people he believes stole everything from him. Each image feeds his rage like oxygen to a flame. He cannot stand the thought of Sienna living comfortably when he lost his nightclub, his reputation, his financial foothold, all because Victor Newman decided to crush him. The past he shares with Nick and Sharon only deepens the wound. Matt's hatred is not new, it is a recycled venom, a festering resentment that has found new fuel now that Sienna has aligned herself with the Newmans. He doesn't see her as a woman trying to heal. He sees her as a symbol of everything he lost, everything he never controlled, everything that slipped through his fingers the moment she chose Noah over him. And though Sienna has moved physically to Genoa City, living alongside Noah, emotionally she is still trapped in the consequences of her past with Matt. Her presence in GC is gasoline poured directly onto his unresolved anger. Matt's outrage over Sienna's so-called betrayal is intensified by the collapse of his own marriage, the humiliation of being publicly exposed for his mistakes and failures. To him, Sienna aligning herself with Noah is not just romantic rejection, it is a declaration that his life is inferior, that his world is worth abandoning. As twisted as it may sound, Matt has convinced himself that Sienna's happiness with Noah is a personal insult, an injustice that must be corrected. And because his mind is fueled by obsession disguised as righteousness, he believes he has the right to discipline Sienna, to reclaim her from the safety she has found, to make her pay for daring to build a new identity that doesn't include him. That is why he will not rest. That is why he cannot find peace. His fixation demands resolution, and in his distorted logic, justice for him requires suffering for her. What makes this tragedy even more ominous is that Matt doesn't just want to punish Sienna, he wants Noah to watch. He wants to dismantle Noah's illusion of control, twist the knife in the softest parts of his heart, and prove that the Newman name cannot shield everyone they love. If Victor stripped away Matt's power, Matt intends to strip away Victor's legacy one emotional blow at a time. Sienna is simply the first, easiest target because she is vulnerable and because she has already been conditioned by trauma, by fear, by his story to sense danger but not fully confront it. Matt knows she is too compassionate to imagine the full extent of his cruelty. He knows her guilt still lingers. He knows she carries emotional scars that can be easily manipulated, and that knowledge makes her the perfect instrument of revenge. In the December 10th episode, when Sienna confessed to Noah that she felt like an outsider within the Newman family, she was speaking from a place of aching truth. She doesn't fit. Not really. She tries, but there is something about her presence that feels incongruent, like a character written for Los Angeles drama suddenly dropped into the political and corporate chess game of Genoa City. Fans see it. Characters feel it. Even Sienna herself senses that she is an anomaly in this town, a puzzle piece molded from a different set. The more she tries to assimilate, the more the edges of her identity rub uncomfortably against the rigid expectations of the Newman world. Noah, blinded by affection, cannot see this clash, but Sienna feels it deeply and quietly. Her confession wasn't a plea for reassurance, it was an instinctive recognition that she is playing a role in a narrative that was not designed for her to survive. The unnerving truth is that Sienna's entire arc may have been constructed with a single, dramatic purpose in mind. Much like Damien Kania character brought into Genoa City to catalyze explosive storylines and then removed once his usefulness expired, Sienna may be serving a narrative function, rather than forming a permanent place in the ensemble. Characters like her exist to ignite chaos, to deepen conflict, to expose vulnerabilities in established families. Once their story has detonated, they often vanish, leaving behind emotional wreckage for the core characters to sift through. It is not cruelty, it is structure. And in the case of Sienna, her purpose may be to trigger the full scale of Matt Clark's vengeance in a way that forces the Newmans into confrontation, self-reflection, or collapse. But in this grim outline, the tragedy is not just what might happen to Sienna, it is the quiet inevitability of it. Victor's warning was not simply paternal instinct, it was experience speaking. If Sienna had listened, if she had stepped back and understood the magnitude of the forces surrounding Noah, she might have slipped through Matt's grasp. She might have blended into another city, rebuilt a life far from anyone who knew her past, found peace where her name no longer summoned ghosts. But love clouded her judgment. Gratitude tied her tightly to Noah. Hope convinced her that she could start again in Genoa City. And now she realizes too late that she brought her past into a battlefield where enemies are sharper, angrier, and more relentless than she ever imagined. Even worse, the more the Newman family attempts to embrace her, the more out of place she feels. She senses the judgment in the way Victoria studies her. She feels Nick's cautious politeness. She reads Sharon's quiet concern. And she knows Victor's approval is conditional, built entirely on Noah's happiness, not on genuine trust. Sienna can feel herself suspended between belonging and displacement. She lives with Noah, but she does not live as a Newman. She is surrounded by wealth, but she carries emotional poverty. She is loved, but she is not safe. And as Matt Clark sharpens the edges of his revenge, these contradictions tighten around her like a noose. Matt's anger intensifies each day Sienna remains comfortably inside the Newman circle. He sees her living the life he believes she abandoned him for, and the injustice festers deeper. He tells himself that once Sienna pays, once Noah breaks, once the Newmans feel the sting of powerlessness, then and only then will he be able to breathe freely. Peace, in Matt's mind, comes only through destruction. So he waits, planning, stalking, calculating, not with the explosive rage of a villain but with the cold focus of a man who has convinced himself that destiny is on his side. Sienna may not know when or how the blow will come, but she can feel the tension building inside her, suffocating her. Her fate now hangs in a delicate balance shaped by choices she made out of love, fear, and longing for stability. But the bitter irony is that the stability she sought has placed her directly in the crosshairs of the person who knows her too well, the person who wants her suffering to echo, the person who intends to dismantle not only her present, but her very sense of self. And unless someone recognizes the full scope of Matt Clark's vendetta, unless Noah understands that love is not enough to protect Sienna from a man determined to rewrite her ending, she may indeed become another tragic sacrificial character written into existence not to flourish but to fall.